All right, everyone. What's Gucci? What's Gucci? What's happening? What's happening? I hope everyone's doing great. Without wasting any time, let's get to it. Let's look at a few pairs. I'll be looking at a few pairs for this week. Okay, so already Euro-USD is already playing out. As you can see, this was the first for this week, and then obviously I'm anticipating a big one. Okay, so let me just go through to the 1 week. Let me just start on the weekly. Just that's how we analyze, all right? There we go. I'm gonna remove everything. Okay, so this is my weekly. Okay, right here my weekly, I can say I have the impulse, and then this is the big correction, and then this is the impulse, and then this is just a correction, right? We're coming from an impulse, and then this is a correction. Okay, so there's a possibility that this can correct here and then go down, right? So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna highlight my lowest low of my correction and my highest high of my correction. Okay, I'm gonna highlight my lowest low of my correction like that, and then my highest high of my correction just like that. Okay, then from there I'm just going to go down to the daily. I'm just going to drop to the daily, and then here in the daily now I want to understand how is this move coming to my area. Okay, so as I can see now, we had this impulse correction, though it didn't break this top, here, so I believe that this could still be a bigger correction that is forming, right? So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to try and check what is happening. How is it approaching my area of double bottom here? So now as I can see here, it's approaching impulse correction, and this looks very correctively. Okay, for me this looks very correctively. So I'm just going to highlight my corrective structure. Like that, right? Okay, so it's this correction starting. There we go. Okay, just highlight this. Remember guys, when you highlight the your structures, you must highlight them at the top of the wicks, right, or where the impulses started. Okay, so I can see, okay, I have this one, I have this two, because I didn't want to put it like this, right? I didn't want to put it like this because this would be just forcing things, so I'd rather put it here on this low. Okay, so what I can see is that here, this is the correction, this is the impulse, this is the correction, this is the impulse, and then this is the correction. All right, so I have the one, I have the two, I'm anticipating the third touch here. And then knowing Euro-USD or the nature of Euro-USD, I know it has a tendency of breaking the lows and then going up. Okay, so now I'm just going to go to the 4 hour. Let me just, before I go to the 4 hour, let me just highlight the highs of this correctional structure. There we go. So let me just quickly go to the 4 hour. Right, so on the 4 hour, this is the trade that we've taken. All right, so now here on the 4 hour, I just want to see, okay, this is the double bottom that we're anticipating, but then we're anticipating that this move might come and give us the third touch here. So now from here, I just want to highlight how this correction was. Okay, how this correction was. Okay, so I had a correction like this. So this is my impulse, this is my correction, and then from there I had an impulse. After this impulse, obviously you know what happens after an impulse, we get a correction. All right, we got a correction. Come on. Okay, let me just put it there nicely. There we go. Right, we have that correction that we have there. There we go. We have the top of the correction as that, and then obviously we'll have the bottom of the correction. Okay, like that. This bottom that doesn't want to fit. There we go. Then from there you can see what we had here when it was approaching our third touch of that correction. So we have the 1 2 3. Okay, we have this 1 2 3 move that we have inside here. We have a correction inside this correction. That is why this move. Okay, then after that we had the impulse, the correction, the impulse, the correction, the impulse, and then obviously from here we said we were anticipating a correction and then a continuation, which is what happened. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to quickly go to the 1 hour. So here on the 1 hour, I can see that there is a possibility that this move here might give me a correction, a bigger correction, right, before it goes down. So now it means that now I'm just gonna sit and wait and anticipate, okay, and anticipate. So there are actually two trades here on Euro USD, like I said, but I personally will be looking for a move to the upside. I'll be looking to take the buy to the upside, okay, right. So this is what we have here. I'll be waiting for the buys. I'll be waiting for the buys. Okay. So this is what we have here on 1 hour. So here on 1 hour, this is what we're saying, that we can get this move to the upside, then come here, give us a bigger correction before a continuation to the downside, right? But then for us, we are not, because we've already ate this move, so we're waiting for the move to come here, and then from this, that is where then now we'll be waiting to take those long positions. We'll be waiting to take those long positions to the upside, okay? We'll be waiting to take those long positions to the upside. So we will be monitoring what's happening here on Euro USD. We'll be monitoring that. So going down, New Zealand USD. Okay. New Zealand USD, we almost have the same situation as Euro USD here on New Zealand USD. It's the same thing that we have here. So we can see we have a break of structure, impulse correction, impulse correction, impulse correction, and then we have a big correction. So obviously, even this one, we are anticipating that if it doesn't come and give us this double bottom here to go up, then it might give us this drop here and then go up, okay? So that is basically what we're waiting for on New Zealand USD. Still the same thing as Euro USD. So I won't even go to GBP USD because GBP USD also has the same as New Zealand USD. So USD JPY here, this is a quite interesting one here on USD JPY. If I could just start on the weekly, if I could just start on the weekly here of USD JPY, let me just do this. Let me remove everything. So this is quite interesting here on USD JPY. We can see that this here obviously is our previous highs, weekly highs, and then this our recent lows. Né? So what I'm seeing here on USD JPY, there are two things. I'm also seeing an inverse head and shoulder formation, a big inverse head and shoulder formation, which is possible, right? You can see what is happening here. Okay. So from there, now it means that now I could be anticipating a move which is same or equals to this one. So, okay, fine. Then what happened when the move was going up? We had this impulse, and then here we can clearly see that this was just a big correction. This was just a big correction. There's nothing much to it. It was a correction as it is. Okay. It's nothing much to it. So this is the impulse, this is the correction, this is the impulse. So now we are here at this area here, which is also an area of importance. So we have the impulse, and then here, this area of importance, this is where we'll be anticipating to get perhaps that correction to then continue to the upside. Okay, and then if we don't get that correction to continue to the upside, if we don't get that correction to continue to the upside, then we can get that move, and then we can go to the downside, right? Then we can have this as a bigger correction. It can go to the downside and then have this as a bigger correction, something like this, and then it can push to the upside. Okay, so now from here, let me just do this, quickly remove this. Okay, so let me just drop quickly to the daily chart. So this is my daily chart. So now here on my daily, I want to understand what exactly is happening and how is this move going to this. Okay, so I can see this is the impulse, this was the correction, right? So this is my previous high, which is my previous correction, okay, here on the daily, all right? So now from here, I'm simply just going to go to the 4 hour. I'm not going to do much. I'm just going to go to the 4 hour. Right. So here we are on the 4 hour. Oh, So here we are on the 4-hour. On the 4-hour, we can see we have the impulse, the correction, impulse, correction, impulse, correction, impulse, correction, right? So this was the last correction here. Okay. This was the last correction here on the 4-hour. As you can see. Let me highlight this nicely. There we go. So this was the impulse, correction, and then we had this impulse, right? So now we want to understand what exactly is happening here. Are we having a type of a reversal? Because this was a continuation correction. So if this was a continuation correction, then we're anticipating that the next move will probably continue with the trend, okay? So this will be impulse, correction, impulse. So now we're just going to go to the 1 hour. Let's quickly go to the 1 hour, right? Okay, so this is the impulse, this is the correction, then the impulse. So if I can extend this pattern of mine here, I could just extend this pattern here on USDJPY. I could just extend this pattern like that, okay? Because this is still lower than this. This is lower than this, so this is the high. So from here I can connect this and this, because these two are trending, this and this are trending. So now I can have a structure like this, okay? My structure will be like this. So from here now, seeing that I have a structure like this, and I know that if a structure is ascending, it breaks to the downside. Then I have a 1, 2, so I can be anticipating that this can give me a move like this, or if not, right? If not, this can just correct, break this impulse, break this, right? So now from there, I'm just gonna go simply this one. This is a good signal, obviously, because already we have a signal here. We have a signal here, which is not one that we'll go for, but this is something we'd go for, right? This is something we'd go for, okay? Then you'll take your first profits here and then wait for it to come all the way down here, and then that will be your second take profit, okay? So that's it on USDJPY. Let's see which one do I have now. Okay, I was also looking at Cadchf. Do I have okay, let me quickly go to the weekly of Cadchf. Okay, so this is Cadchf, guys. So what I was looking at here on Cadchf was the fact that we are on a downtrend. Okay, we are on a downtrend here on the weekly, and then I can see this was the impulse, this is the correction, this is the impulse, and this makes this the correction, right? So now I'm just going to do the same thing, highlight my lowest lows like that, and then I'll find my highest high. Okay, so I can see that I have a highest high here, right? So now from there it's all about finding out how is this move going to the upside. So I can see impulse, correction, impulse, correction, impulse. So I have 1, 2, 3. Okay, I have those moves. Now I can just get a structure like that. Okay, and get a structure like that because we are trending obviously to the upside, and then structurally, okay, like that. So this being the structure that I get, let me just put this nicely. This being the structure that I get, I know I have 1, I have 2, and then I have 3 here. Okay, so now I'm just going to drop to the lower time frame, which will be my daily. Okay, so now here on my daily, we have something very, 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 very interesting. So now we can see how the move was pushing to the upside. It's very corrective, impulse, correction, impulse, correction, impulse, correction, impulse, correction. Then we have this big impulse to the downside, and then now we have this impulse to the upside. And then when this impulse to the upside came to be, it came to give us a what? A double top, right? It gave us a double top formation. And then from this double top formation, we can see this move reacted. We have an impulse already. And then after an impulse, we know what we are waiting for. Okay, after an impulse, we get a correction, right? After an impulse, after each and every impulse, we get a correction. Okay, so let me just highlight this previous low here, and this previous high here on the daily, okay? Because this one has already given us a double top. So now what I'm going to do, let me just go to the 4 hour. Okay, so this is my 4 hour. This is my 4 hour structure. So now as you can see, this is our double top, this is our first top, and then this could be our potential second top, right? Because obviously we can see that this move has already started to go to the downside because it broke our previous lows, right? It broke our previous lows here, it broke our previous lows here, and also here. So this move has already shaped up to go to the downside, right? So now what we're going to do now, we're just going to come here and find more evidence to say what kind of a correction are we getting here, because we already know that we had this impulse. Now we want to find what type of correction we're having here. Is it a continuation or is it a reversal correction? That's what we want. But we know and we're anticipating that this move will give us a continuation correction. All right. So from here now, I'm just going to come here. We have the impulse. And then now where this move started to go opposite the trend, this will be my correction. Okay. This will be my correction like this. So now if I can just quickly drop down to the 1 hour, I'm going to find structure here on the 1 hour. Okay. So here on the 1 hour, what I'm basically going to do now, I'm going to wait for my correction to end and then I'll enter the trade. Okay. So now we don't necessarily know when the correction will end, but we anticipate that on the third touch of structure, the correction will end. Okay. So on the third touch of structure here, which is also here, we can have what we call, let me put it here, we can have what we call a double top here, right? We can have a double top here, and this double top of ours can give us that signal to sell. All right, so now from here also we can have two options. So what we're going to do, because already here I can see we have a correction, so we can see that we are anticipating an impulse. We can get this double top here, right? We can get this double top here, or we can come and get the third touch here before we go to the downside. Whichever one happens first, we'll be waiting for it. Okay, so now what we're going to do now is simply just wait for our setup to play out, put our sell position like that, and then obviously we are targeting these first lows here, and then ultimately we are targeting the bottom of the outside structure. Okay, so this is one to look out for this week, right? This is a really good one to look out for this week, right? Okay, so now which one can I do last? Which one is this one? Cadchf is the same as Cadchf. It's almost the same thing. As you can see, here we might get a bigger corrective structure though, or a head and shoulder type of a reversal here. Okay, you can get a bigger corrective structure and then go down, right? Same thing, double top here. Okay, let me check which one do we have also. New Zealand. Nah, I'm not interested in this one. It's very corrective. Odd-CAD, this one is from last week. Already is playing out this one. USD-CAD also, I had this from last week. You can see how beautiful it was. It broke out of structure, impulse correction, and we are still waiting for it to go to the top of the structure, which will be completing our 90%. Right? So let me just quickly go for gold, which will be the last one. Okay. All right. So here on gold, guys, if I can just start on my daily time frame, here on gold. Okay. Actually, let me see. Yeah. So here on gold, what I can see is that we have this correction, and then this could be just a correction because this was a big impulse, and then this could be a big correction. Okay. So if I could just highlight this correction for us, we have a correction like this here on gold. Okay, I could just highlight this as a big correction. So this could be just a big flag, ne? So obviously we know what happens. We can trade inside these flags, right? You can buy and sell inside this. So this is where the trades are. So now from here we can see, okay, we have the first touch, we have the second touch here, and then we have the first touch here, then we have the second touch here. Then what we'll be anticipating before this move goes to the upside is that it comes and give us a third touch before it goes to the upside, ne? So now if it's coming to give us a third touch, you can see how it's coming: impulse, correction, impulse, correction, impulse, just like that, right? So now what we see here is that we have this big impulse where from this, let me just go down a bit. We're from this big impulse, right? And then this was our first correction. And then now if I can just go down to the 4 hour, quickly go down to the 4 hour. This is my 4 hour. Okay. So what I can see here on gold, how it has been moving from the top, right? Let me just get the top nicely. Get the top there. You can see it has been very, very corrective, okay? It has been very, very corrective. Let me just get it nicely. Let me just get it nicely. There we go. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Structure. There we go. There we go. This is beautiful. So I have my 1, my 2. I have my 1, my 2. Okay. So this is my structure on gold. This is the big impulse, and then this is the big correction, right? So now what can happen here is that since I have this, I know I'm anticipating a third touch here, and then of course to give me a third touch on the outside of the structure. So now what's going to happen basically here now, we can see we are coming from this impulse. We have then from this impulse, we still need to test the outside, right? So now inside this gold, we have a move which was coming down like this, correctively like this. Then we have this impulse which looks like a continuation correction, right? We have this impulse and then it starts to correct. But you must understand that the more it corrects like this, the more chances that it will not go to the upside. It will not break to the upside but to the downside, right? So now for us, what we'll be anticipating, there are two things that might happen on this structure. So already here inside this, we have a sell position which we anticipated from last week. We anticipated this sell position from last week because of this 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3 here, and then now we have this push to the upside, and then from this push to the upside we have that 1 hour retracement. Now we're just having a correction, so I can literally say, guys, go and sell gold right now as it is. Okay, I can just say go and sell gold now as it is, because like look at this, this is the impulse, this is the correction, this is textbook, this is textbook, right? This is textbook. It's textbook, okay? This is textbook. So now here in my 1 hour, we have this 1, 2, 3, we have the push, and then now we have the first correction. So you can literally take this short position here on the break of the structure, and then a stop loss will be at the top of the structure, okay? If it doesn't break, obviously you will not take it, okay? You take it on the break of the structure, and then your stop loss will be there. And then from there, you'll be anticipating that we can get a move all the way to the downside, if possible. All the way to the downside, okay? All the way to the downside. If not, we can get this double top, double bottom here, this double bottom here, and then this might be our reversal, okay? Other than that, it is possible to also reverse from inside the structure. So we'll just be waiting and anticipating. Remember, trading is all about waiting, okay? So I think that's it for the day, guys. I thank you. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell them to like and subscribe. Not Capital is here. So I'm signing out, guys. Cheers.